kind of have the chicken or the egg type of debate here, whether privacy and options are most important or whether transparency and clarity to the consumer are most important, and probably a relatively strong argument on either side. The thing I would say about this story is that we have to be very careful when we're pushing hard to make a whole bunch of unilateral changes. We need to understand the pros and cons of decisions like that. And we need to understand what will be important both to the end consumer. Of course, we always should be thinking that way. Also, the professionals that are operating with these MLSs and bringing these listings to market, since they will also be impacted. There's a few different sides to the beach ball, and sometimes it's easy only to be looking at one. I think this is a topic that as leaders, we need to be well read on and understanding of the impacts that any potential changes could have and other options for accomplishing the same goals rather than just throwing the baby out with the bathwater. And although rates have dropped to the low 6% range by August and now September, home sales have not picked up significantly. So there's this idea that a lot of our inventory is still locked in by sellers who, in essence, feel like they're sitting on a winning lottery ticket with a 2% mortgage rate or a 3% mortgage rate, something in those really low ranges. So as they look at their options for selling that home and doing something different in real estate, they're now looking at higher prices from when they lock those rates in, and they're looking at elevated rates comparably. And so, that's keeping people probably from delaying some of their home selling decisions. I would argue, and as we've talked about on this program regularly, that the reasons for people truly selling their home are life driven. And although interest rates and a lock-in effect certainly can have some level of impact, that impact is likely to diminish over time as things like divorce and debt, new jobs, new babies, kids moving out and going to college, starting their own life. These are all things that actually cause someone to have to or need to sell their home. And as time marches on, those things ultimately will show up regardless of what's happening with mortgage rates. The Fed and Jerome Powell specifically, who have clearly said each and every time they're going to continue to watch the data closely to inform their decision making. And he mentions inflation versus the labor market. Well, we've seen inflation gradually come down, which was per the plan of the Fed. And we've seen the labor market or unemployment gradually tick up. Although on the most recent monthly number, we saw a very, very slight downtick in the unemployment rate. It was less than 0.1%, but it was also down as it had been creeping up. So again, there's a lot of information, inflation, unemployment, GDP that the Fed is paying close attention to and to inform their decisions. Remember that the Fed always wants to create a soft landing, in their words, when it comes to rates and what that means to the economy. While I commend their desire for a soft landing, it would be important to note that the Fed historically has not had a lot of success in creating soft landings.